Hey, let me get microphone set up here. Hey everybody, I believe we are live. So, all right. Hey, so, just been hanging out here a little bit. I just went and picked up some scrap, used, salvaged, whatever, oak hardwood, some old flooring from someone who was getting rid of it and was unloading it from the van onto my floor here in the shop. It's probably not the smartest thing to do because um, tons of nails in it. So it's going to be a lot of work to get it cleaned up and usable. And then once I get it all cleaned up, get all these nails and everything out of it, it's not really that thick. So I don't know if it's really even worth doing, but we'll see. Um, if these nails aren't that difficult to remove, then maybe it's not too terrible of a project. But that's not why I decided to go live today. The reason I decided to go live is that while I was doing that, I had my garage door open and I saw someone walk to the front door. I was like, I wonder who that is. And went out and saw it was a mail delivery guy. And he dropped off a package. And the package is from Dan's Homestead. So I figured, hey, would anyone else like to see what's inside? So let's check it out. All right. Get you hopefully a decent view there. And anyone who's watching, feel free to chime in on the chat and let us know where you're watching from. Hey, Woodchucker, good to see you, man. And let's see, love the Nissan GTR. Thanks for joining us, man. And Isaac Danny, thanks for joining us. You're almost like the American Aaron Alstrom who climbed the mountains of Utah and cut off his hand. I guess I'll take that as a compliment. I did damage my wrist pretty severely back when I was 16. Fell asleep at the wheel and rolled the car, broke my wrist and neck. So broke the wrist in at least 7 places, broke my neck in 2 places, the second and 6th cervical vertebrae. So don't sleep and drive, people. Not a good choice. So let's see what we have going on in the package here. Oh, we got a few more people chiming in. Got CNG Creations. Thanks for joining us, man. Isaac, yeah, love the emojis there, Isaac. And don't look too good. Yeah. Hey, you know what? It looks a lot better than it did when I was 16. Tell you what. I thought that they'd removed all of the hardware, but I actually got an X-ray on my wrist a few months ago because I had a fun little gout attack happening there, and turns out that there's a small little something in there that they left. But I had all sorts of screws and apparatus and everything after the operations. I had 3 different operations on it to clean everything up and put it back where it belongs. But I have pretty much full range of motion. It's pretty much as strong as my right hand or my right wrist. So the physical therapy that I had to do on that really sucked. The wrist was always more painful to me than my broken neck. So the neck was inconvenient. I had to have a halo for 11 weeks, 4 days, 15 hours. But who's counting? But the wrist hurt. So, all right. Without further ado, let's get this thing opened up and see what Dan's Homestead sent us. Hopefully, it's not explosive, but I guess we'll find out. Ooh, sent us bubble wrap. Sweet. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Oh, it looks like there might be something more. More than bubble wrap? Ooh. All right, let's see what we got here. And wow. Sweet. Dude, that is awesome. Check it out. Isn't that awesome? Thank you. Dan's Homestead, man. Mike, you are awesome, man. That is sweet. That is substantial. And looks like there's something in here, I'm guessing, to treat the wood. Yeah. Nice. I don't have the greatest sense of smell. I'm trying to smell what exactly that is, but it might be a wax or oil. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is so awesome. Thank you so much. Man, not expecting that. That's for sure. Oh, let me wipe the whatever that treatment is off my hands a little bit before I check in on chat. Let's see. Hey, Dan's Homestead, I see you. Got some flexibility in my wrist. Yeah, it works okay. Said in his best 7 impression, what's in the box? Yeah. Thankfully, not a severed head, or there was a severed head in 7, right? So, if I'm remembering right. Let's see. CNG says his brother got in a motorcycle wreck. Needless to say, all the plates, screws, and rods make metal detectors go crazy. Yeah, thankfully, my wrist has not made any X-ray machines go crazy at airport security or anything. that's part of why I thought they'd removed everything. But yeah, there's something in there that is not bone. So something metallic, I'm assuming, but it's not enough to set off alarms. Brad Pitt, yeah. Mike, what's up? Hey, Dan. Cutting board, yeah, it looks like a cutting board. Woodchucker, don't cut your fingers off. Don't need any more injuries. Yeah. Okay, Dan's Homestead says wax and mineral oil. Nice. Yeah, it felt like a wax, but didn't look like it was purely wax. So that makes sense. A wax and mineral oil compound. So best to apply that with like a cotton cloth, or apply it like I would paste wax with the cloth, and then wipe it off like 10 or 15 minutes later. Is that the best way to do that? Let's see. Yeah, severed head. Yeah. Yeah, so that is sweet. I'm not sure what that is. Looks like we've got at least 2 or maybe 3 different types. This all looks pretty similar, but we've got a different shade here, here, and here. And obviously these stripes are quite a bit darker. So it might be a walnut or something on these. Actually, these look pretty much the same, and this one looks a little different. So those might be different types as well. So all sorts of different woods laminated, and it could be. So awesome. And oak, haddock, and walnut cutting board. Yep. Don't have to wipe it off until you're going to use it to absorb anything else. Okay. So just apply the wax and mineral oil substance, and then just let it sit for a while until I'm about to use it. Is that the appropriate way? I've never actually made a cutting board before, so this is pretty awesome. And I was talking with Wes Does It on his live the other day, as he was making a mallet, and he asked me, how many mallets I had made. I'm like, 0, dude. I've never made a mallet. He's made like a dozen. So, and some pretty cool ones. And I am malletless. I have some mallets. Right, bought this one from Harbor Freight a while ago. Bought that to use with a like a wedge / hatchet, whatever, when splitting firewood. And then bought this one. This one is also a Harbor Freight special, but I actually picked this one up from the same guy that I bought my planer and jointer and dust extractor from. And yeah, that's my mallet collection. And then this is my wooden cutting board selection. So, yeah, thank you so much, Dan's Homestead, Mike at Dan's Homestead. This is sweet, and quite the surprise. So, how's everyone else doing today? Let me show you again for those who weren't here when I started. The package arrived while I was unloading some oak hardwood flooring that I had salvaged. It's got a lot of nails and stuff in it, a lot more nails in it than I realized from the Facebook Marketplace listing. There's a lot more that I need to unload from the vehicle. So I'm not sure how useful this is really going to be. It seems like it might be a lot of work getting all these nails out. So maybe it won't be worth it. But, we'll see. Yeah. Just go like that. So anyway, Mike, Dan's Homestead, thanks so much for the cutting board, man. You're awesome. And let's see, what else do I have going on? I've got my the bench that I resurfaced is in the kiln drying out so that I can refit it and then put it back out by the fire pit. I've got a bunch of willow that I cut off of the willow tree that I felled in our yard. So took these over to a friend's house who has a much more robust bandsaw than I do. So this bandsaw only has a 6-inch capacity, and his can do, I think, 14. And so took the willow segments over to his place and cut those down. So I'm thinking to possibly do like a live edge charcuterie boards with those. But whoa, need a lot of planing on them because we didn't do very well on cutting those pretty flat. So we didn't use any jigs or anything. So and then thinking I might either carve or turn some of this other stuff from the willow. And then here's the kiln that has the bench in it. And I wasn't able to close the kiln all the way because the bench sticks out a bit on one side in particular. But it's kind of best that way because I found that my dehumidifier was shutting down. That's the heat source in the kiln is the dehumidifier. I was getting it up to 120 degrees, which was my target temperature. But the dehumidifier was shutting down, and I thought it was defective. And what I realized was that it's only supposed to operate up to 104 degrees. So I was asking it to do more than what it's rated to be capable of. So now I'm keeping the kiln open a little bit so that the temperature stays in the 104-ish range. So hopefully that'll be better for it. And let me just give you a little view of the signs that my wife made for me. The pelado over there in the corner, and then the other sign that she made during a live video. I've made a bunch of signs for kids in our Sunday school class. They're like 9 and 10 years old. And one of the times that I made the signs, I brought them upstairs to the bedroom and was showing my wife the signs. And she was like, oh, can you correct this or, that or whatever? I was like, no, they're done. And she wanted me to show her how I made them. So I just played her back some of the video. And so she saw me freehanding the router on the signs. And she's like, oh, that looks easy. I can do that. And so we had a little competition. And so she made a sign, I made a sign. And during the live video of the competition, we solicited ideas on what we should be carving because we figured we should carve the same thing. And so the live audience told us that we should carve the name Smith because there are lots of Smiths, so should be able to easily sell, a Smith sign versus, if we did something much more, much less common. What I'm trying to say. So I carved the name Smith, and she carved the name / word sucker. So then we had everyone vote on which one was better, and I narrowly won. I think it was a 1-vote margin, 1 or 2 votes, and so So I was pleased to get the victory, and she was actually winning for most of the polling time frame, and I had to count it down, and I got to like 3 or 4 on the countdown, and that's when it switched over to me being in the lead. And I thought about ending the poll right then. I was like, no, I need to go all the way to 0. But as soon as I got to 0, I ended that poll, so I secured the victory. But yeah, hers says Sucker, mine says Smith, so she cheated, of course. But here, let me check in on the chat. Gigolo Cogliostro, fancy. Woodchucker, good, yeah. What will I repurpose it for? That's a good question. I don't know yet. I like to acquire raw materials and then just have them available for whatever project comes to mind. So I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with the oak. I just figured oak, I can do things with oak, right? So, once I get the nails out, I'll probably plane them down on the on the back side of them, or the bottom side, and then I don't know. It's going to be relatively thin material, so I don't know. We'll see what projects come to mind once I've got that done. Let me know if there are any ideas you have on what I should do with it. Let's see, Michael. Hey, thanks for dropping in, man, and thanks for posting a like. Appreciate that too. And Juggalo, what in the heck? Why do I kiln wood? Yeah, so this is a wood drying kiln. So there are various types of kilns. Some kilns are used obviously for ceramics, or to harden clay, that sort of thing. That's not what this kiln is about. This is just for wood drying. And so if you let's say you cut down a tree and you want to use that wood for woodworking projects, it's generally not wise to use it right after you cut the tree down, because there's a lot of moisture in the wood, and it will warp and twist and turn and bend, and whatever. It's not really usable for woodworking right away. And if you cut it down into like 1-inch panels, they say usually you want to wait a year of letting it just air dry when it's 1 inch thick. And that seems like a really long time to wait to me. So I am not patient enough for that, I guess. And so I just made this little kiln, and so I can put my woodworking wood in that kiln, and I've got a bunch of cherry wood that I worked with before, and this willow wood that I just had on. Well, here, let me move the camera instead of moving the wood. So I've got a bunch of cherry wood over here that I cut up and dried in the kiln. So I've been planning to use this for a shoe rack for my mom. I haven't had a huge, I guess, incentive or motivation or whatever to get that done, because in the meantime, I took over a little bookcase that we had hanging around our house, and so I was like, oh, this is going to take me a little while to make this. And so she's got a makeshift shoe rack for now. So one of these days I'll get around to making that project. But anyway, I dried this cherry wood. So instead of a year, it took about 2.5 weeks to dry it, dry it enough that I could use it for woodworking. And then this willow wood was super wet, because again, I had just cut it down, and willow tends to be a very wet wood. So it was measuring upwards of 60 or 70% on my moisture meter. And so now it's down to, it's measuring like 3 or 4% now. I did have it in the kiln for quite a bit longer, but that was because my dehumidifier kept shutting off, and because I was keeping my temperature well above the safe range of the dehumidifier. So hopefully that is corrected now. So then this oak, I won't need to do anything in the kiln because it's already dry. But yeah, so that's why I have the wood drying kiln, is because I'm impatient. I also picked up some maple wood recently. Somebody who was getting rid of some wood on Facebook Marketplace. So it was just a maple tree that he'd cut down, I don't know how long ago. And so I just got several chunks of maple wood that I just have outside because I want to treat it for some bugs before I bring it in here. I don't know if it has bugs, but it was just sitting outside at that guy's place for I don't know how long. So I figure there's a decent chance that it's got some bugs on it. So I'll spray it down and then bring it in, cut it down a little bit. I'll probably actually need to take it to my friends because my bandsaw is not going to be big enough to do anything with it really. I could shave off little pieces of it, but not enough to really do anything beneficial. But I can take it over to my friends, or my brother-in-law is also nearby, and he's got a much more robust bandsaw than I do as well. So hopefully that answers your question about the kiln. Viking, whoop whoop, thanks for joining us, man. And let's see, Michael S., welcome, yep. Let's see, who else we got here? All right, we've got, okay, my chat is skipping a bunch of stuff, so I have to go back here. And looks like I've missed a lot. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we got Corey's Outdoor Adventures here. He's new here. Thanks for joining us, man. Learning difficulties, do magnet fishing as a hobby. Cool. Haven't heard of that, I don't think. Viking feels old. Just found out Monoxide is out, a new album featuring Jamie Maddox. Cool. I'm not familiar with Monoxide or Jamie Maddox, I don't think. Nice workshop. Oh, thanks, Viking. Yeah, most of the workshop is relatively new. I built this workbench last year. Repurposed the plywood from a workbench that was already here that wasn't very sturdy or robust. It was basically just the plywood with, on top of 2x4s. In fact, this is one of the 2x4s that I've repurposed. Built out all of this actually within the last year, including the shelving up here, the French cleat wall, and the shelves up there, storing a bunch of wood that I've primarily gotten from for free from the Facebook Marketplace. And then a lot of my shop equipment, like my bandsaw. I made the router table down there. That's got my willow wood on it right now. The table saw, the lathe back there. I got all that really cheap from, again, Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. So you too can have a shop for not a lot of money if you're willing to put in some time and effort and go and check out what's available on Marketplace and Craigslist and whatever. So, but yeah, thanks for the compliment. Hey, Raja, thanks for joining us, man. And thanks for liking the video. Appreciate that. Anyone else who wants to hit the like button or thumbs up, feel free. If you're watching on mobile, you can just double click. Let's see, who else we got? Michael, thanks for joining us, man. See you later. Happy, Matthew, thanks for joining us, man. Mike is making stuff. Thanks for joining us, man. Biking, yeah, you kiln wood to avoid shrinkage. Should all know about shrinkage. Yep, all too well. There are actually a few different kinds of shrinkage, and I'm not a big fan of any of them. Okay, you used your kiln for glass. Okay, I have never used a kiln for glass. Haven't done glasswork before, although it looks really cool when people melt it down and form it and stuff. Let's see. Hello. Rhinestone Suzanne, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. And got more hellos. And Mike is making stuff, says, I think being out here by the desert, a solar kiln will be great. Yeah, in fact, I thought about doing a solar kiln instead of this. There were a few things that I didn't like about that. Number one, with the solar kiln, you're basically relying on just the evaporation, and then you've got to have some sort of venting to carry the water, carry the moisture out of the kiln. Whereas with this, I've got a dehumidifier that's carrying it out. I figured it's probably more exposed to bugs if it's out in the wild. And so I was like, having it inside, and I thought being able to get to a higher temperature, I might be able to, inhibit bug growth. And even if it didn't kill all of the bugs, it, probably do better at preventing bug infestation than an outdoor kiln. Plus this, just was so simple to do because I just made it out of one sheet of, it was a 4 foot by 8 foot sheet of 1 inch foam board, which I already had lying around. I was like, let me just make that, cut it up. So it's 4 foot wide, 2 foot tall, 16 inches deep. And then I just used insulating HVAC tape to put it all together. And then I've got some other foam that I've put around it since then, but it works. So one of the big advantages of a solar kiln over this is the less electricity, because obviously you're just using the power of the sun, whereas I'm paying for the electricity to use this. But I feel like this is a little bit more controlled, and it's drying 24/7 rather than just when the sun is out. So let's see. We got hello to everybody. And Raj's got to go. Thanks for joining us, man. Nikki New, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. And hello. And yeah, Suzanne's in and out, which is just great. Appreciate you being here at all. And yeah, need to win the lottery. Yeah. So for those of you who joined a little bit late, let me show you the cool package that I got from Dan's Homestead. So pretty sweet cutting board.